Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're looking at the calendar, you know exactly what time of year it is. We are supposed to be merging onto that highway, putting the top down and just speeding down the road to Vegas for WrestleMania 42.
Supposed to be.
But I have to be honest with you, it feels like the on-ramp is currently blocked. There is a massive, angry Scottish wall standing right in the middle of the road.
It definitely feels like a detour, doesn't it? We are sifting through the wreckage of the Royal Rumble in Riyadh. And, usually this is the victory lap deep dive.
It is.
We should be talking about who pointed at the sign, the pyro going off, all the confetti.
Yeah.
But today, the mood is just, it's different. It's heavier.
Way different. And that is exactly why we aren't doing a standard play-by-play. We're not going to list all 30 entrants or, rank the eliminations.
Yeah.
We are focusing on two very specific pivotal moments that define the entire night and, frankly, might define the next 3 months. One was a calculated act of malice, and the other was just a total accidental disaster.
So we're calling this one a heist and an implosion.
Perfect title.
It fits perfectly. And to guide us through this, we're leaning heavily on a breakdown from Cricket Fox of the Sock Sorority podcast. Now, if you're not familiar, this isn't just a stat sheet analysis.
No, it's not.
Fox does this really granular, narrative-heavy breakdown. She digs into the emotional logic of the booking, the fan sentiment, which, given the anger online right now, is the most crucial metric we have.
Absolutely. So here's the mission for this deep dive. We need to uncover the layers behind Drew McIntyre's interference because, wow, the audacity, and we have to break down that disastrous miscommunication within the Kabuki Warriors.
Because those two moments, more than the actual winners, have completely changed the landscape.
Completely. So you ready to start with the crime scene?
Let's do it. Let's unpack the heist.
Okay, so we're talking about the men's rumble. Set the stage for us because the atmosphere was strange even before the incident happened, wasn't it?
It was so tense. You have the entrance coming in, the clock ticking down, the usual chaos of bodies flying everywhere. You know how the Rumble works. It's supposed to be controlled chaos.
Right.
But then you have Drew McIntyre. And it is so important to remind you, Drew McIntyre was not in this match. He was not an official entrant. He had no number.
Exactly. He wasn't on the board. He wasn't even in the lottery.
Nope.
But he decides to just insert himself into the proceedings specifically to target Cody Rhodes. And we are not talking about a distraction from the apron.
No. Not just throwing a water bottle.
He gets in the ring, he attacks, and he physically throws Cody over the top rope.
And this brings up the first huge analytical point from our source material, which she calls the legal loophole.
Ah, yes.
It's this fascinating, just frustrating contradiction in wrestling logic. Why do officials let a non-entrant determine the outcome of one of the biggest matches of the year?
It drives me crazy. Like, where's the referee discretion here? In any other sport, even in other wrestling matches, if a fan runs in, the refs wave it off. They reset the play, they call a foul. Why did the refs just look at Cody on the floor and basically shrug?
Well, Cricket Fox argues that outside interference is this recurring storytelling device that the company treats as a force of nature instead of a rule violation. It just depends on the story they want to tell.
Okay.
But the source points out that in this specific case, the lack of enforcement is so glaring. By allowing it to stand, the officials are essentially validating grand larceny.
That is the phrase the source used that really stuck with me, grand larceny. Because when you frame it that way, it totally changes the stakes.
It does.
Drew didn't just beat Cody in a match, he stole property from him.
Precisely. Think about the tangible asset here. The Royal Rumble winner gets a contract, a guaranteed main event spot, a title shot.
Right. It has real value.
It has career value, monetary value in the storyline. By eliminating Cody, Drew successfully deleted Cody's rematch clause. He deleted his guaranteed path to WrestleMania 42. He essentially walked into Cody's house and took the deed.
It's so ruthless, and honestly, it feels personal in a way that goes beyond just, I want the belt. This felt like hate. It felt like he wanted to break the man.
And that's the psychological aspect our source highlights. I think this is the absolute key to understanding the next few months. Drew isn't just wrestling a person, he's wrestling the concept of Cody's story.
Wait, wrestling the concept. Unpack that for me.
Think about Drew's character. He calls himself the demunk, the truth teller, the guy who had his moments stolen by the pandemic, by the bloodline, whatever.
Okay, right.
He sees Cody as the golden boy who gets everything handed to him, who gets the story written for him. So Drew is obsessed with ensuring Cody never gets a fair shake. It's about proving that the American nightmare is just a dream that you can be woken up from.
So he breaks the system to prove the system is broken.
Exactly. If he can take away the fairness, if he could rig the game, he proves his point that the system is broken.
That is incredibly toxic logic, but for him it makes perfect sense. He's trying to deconstruct Cody's myth. But here is where it gets, I don't know, risky for the company. The source talks about this cycle of frustration.
Yes, this is the danger zone.
Fans are getting really tired of the rug being pulled out from under Cody, right? It feels like we've seen this movie before. You get your hopes up, the hero's on the path, the music hits, and then...
Bam.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Every time.
The source puts it quite starkly. She asks, when will we finally stop feeling frustrated with the booking decisions? It's a relentless cycle of almost, and there is a genuine risk here that goes beyond just booing the bad guy.
You mean like go away heat?
Even worse, apathy, or a revolt against the logic of the match itself. If the rules of the Rumble mean nothing because some guy in jeans can just run in and toss the favorite.
Yeah, why watch?
Exactly. The fan base might turn on the concept of the Rumble. Why invest an hour watching a match if the rules don't apply? Why count down from 10 if the numbers don't matter?
Yeah, if the match has no integrity, why are we watching? It's like watching a football game where a fan runs on the field, tackles the quarterback, and the ref just says, sack, 4th down.
Perfect analogy.
You turn off the TV.
You would. And that brings us to the breaking the cycle part of our discussion. The source warns that WWE must break this cycle before the fans actually revolt. They cannot just let this sit until Vegas.
So what are the options? The source laid out 3 potential paths forward, and they get progressively more chaotic.
Right. Path number 1 is strictly logical, authority intervention.
This is where Nick Aldis comes in. He's the GM of SmackDown. The source says he has to step in, right?
Logically, yes. If Drew isn't penalized for what he did, then the rules are just void. Aldis needs to levy a heavy fine, a suspension, something that acknowledges this was illegal.
It restores a little bit of order.
It tells the fans, we see it, we know it was wrong.
But we know how these things go. In wrestling, a penalty is rarely just a fine. The punishment is usually just another match.
Which leads to scenario 2.
The Elimination Chamber.
The Elimination Chamber.
Okay, so since Cody didn't win the Rumble, there's this vacuum. He is almost certainly headed to the Elimination Chamber to try and earn his shot that way.
Correct. But the source raises a massive red flag here, a warning siren. If Drew tries to screw Cody there, inside the chamber, that is when the actual fan revolt is likely to happen.
Oh, totally. You can only tease the audience so many times before they just walk away. If you ruin the Rumble and the chamber, that's playing with fire. You can't have 2 grand larcenies in a row.
It would feel repetitive. It would feel lazy. Which is why the third option the source mentions is so intriguing. It connects to the strongest rumor currently circulating for WrestleMania 42.
The chaos option.
Chaos option.
I saw this in the notes and my jaw just hit the floor. The Samoan werewolf. The rumor isn't a singles match anymore. It's a triple threat for the title. Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu.
Now just think about the dynamics of that. We've been stuck in this one-on-one stalemate between Drew and Cody. Drew cheats, Cody chases. It's a loop.
Right.
Adding Jacob Fatu.
It breaks the loop. It adds this completely unpredictable element of pure violence.
Exactly. The source calls him the Samoan werewolf for a reason. He's an agent of chaos. He doesn't care about the story or the contract or the American nightmare.
He just destroys.
He just destroys. If you inject him into this feud, suddenly Drew can't just focus on ruining Cody's life because there is an actual monster in the ring with them.
It totally changes the geometry of the match. It becomes rock, paper, scissors. Cody has the skill, Drew has the cunning, and Fatu has the brute force.
And from a booking perspective, it protects the result. If Cody wins, he overcame insurmountable odds. If Drew wins, he stole it from 2 people. It escalates the tension without just repeating the interference spot.
It gives the story fresh oxygen. I want that match.
Yeah.
I really, really want that match. It feels like the only way to escalate this without doing the same old song and dance.
It certainly raises the stakes. But speaking of stakes and chaotic geometry, we have to shift gears. We've talked about the calculated, malicious chaos of the men's Rumble Drew's heist.
Yeah.
Now, we need to look at the women's Rumble.
The Implosion.
This wasn't malice. This wasn't a plan. This was just tragedy.
This section of the source material was really titled Kabuki Chaos, and it focuses on the total breakdown between Asuka and Kairi Sane. And I have to say, reading the breakdown made me sadder than watching it live.
It's framed beautifully by the source. They call it a mute moment.
A mute moment. What's that?
Meaning it was a sequence of such high-level technical wrestling that it left you speechless. You just wanted to watch until it all went wrong. It was described as a technical masterclass that drove right off a cliff.
Okay, let's set the scene, because people might have missed the specifics in the blur of the match. You have this incredible lineup in the ring.
You had Julia entering at 19, a massive star. Then Asuka comes in at 21.
And the source mentions 21 is usually a good number for Asuka. She's historically dominated from that spot.
Usually. She settles in, she starts controlling the pace, hitting those stiff strikes. And then a little later, Kairi Sane enters at 28.
So you have these 3 Japanese superstars, plus Io Sky, their former teammate, was also in the mix. The source calls this a dream match preview.
And for a few minutes, it was exactly that. You have these women who share so much history, so much talent, all in the ring. The grappling, the reversals. The source says Asuka looked like she was going to be there until the very end.
She was the anchor. And then Kairi comes in. The source says she entered with all the fire in the world.
Which is classic Kairi. She hits the ring like a cannonball, high energy, high risk. She wants to make an impact immediately.
So here's the pivot point. Kairi sees Asuka on the apron. Asuka is in a bad spot, dangling there. And Kairi sees Io Sky threatening her. So Kairi decides to play the hero.
She aims for Io. The goal is clearly to hit a spear or something, clear the apron, get Io out of there, and save her partner, Asuka.
It's a standard tag team save. We see it 100 times a year.
But physics had other plans.
Oh, boy.
The source notes there's some debate. Frame-by-frame analysis suggests Io might have shoved Kairi, or maybe Kairi's trajectory was just off, but the result was undeniable. Kairi Sane did not hit Io.
She crashed directly into her own partner.
She knocked Asuka right off the apron.
And Asuka was eliminated, just like that. The veteran, the anchor of the match, gone because her partner tried to help.
And the worst part, it happened so fast. The source said, if you blinked, you would have missed this exchange.
It was so quick.
It was rapid fire. Asuka falls. Kairi is stunned, looking over the ropes in horror. She freezes. And then, almost immediately, Io seizes the distraction and eliminates Kairi.
So within seconds, the Kabuki Warriors, this legendary team, are both gone because of friendly fire.
It is a heartbreaking sequence. But here is where Cricket Fox digs a little deeper. She asks a very uncomfortable question. Is the bond deeper than the botch?
Yeah, because we've heard rumors. The wrestling dirt sheets have been buzzing about tension. The source mentions a theory that Asuka had been bullying Kairi a bit since Io left the group.
That the dynamic had shifted from equals to master and servant.
Right.
And that adds a whole layer of tension to the accident. If they were on great terms, you laugh it off. You say, oops, my bad, I owe you a drink. But if there's already that underlying tension...
If Asuka already feels like she's being dragged down by a clumsy partner...
The visual evidence, the source points out, is pretty damning. We watch the cameras follow them up the ramp.
And that's the key image. Asuka didn't wait. She didn't look back to check on Kairi. She just walked away, staring straight ahead.
The interaction was described as shock, not resolution.
It's so different from the Drew situation. Drew sat down and planned his crime. He knew exactly what he was doing. Kairi tried to do the right thing, and it just blew up in her face.
And now we have to wonder if the Kabuki Warriors can even survive this. Is this the end of the team? Does Asuka just snap?
It really feels like an implosion, just a total collapse of trust.
So we have a heist on one side, malicious external rule-breaking, and an implosion on the other, internal, accidental, heartbreaking.
Both major stories heading into WrestleMania are now defined by these moments of failure and theft. It paints a pretty bleak picture of the road to Vegas, doesn't it?
It does. But the source does not leave us in total darkness. There is a glimmer of hope. A lifeline, if you will.
We have to talk about the road to Chicago.
Right. This is crucial. Triple H held a press conference after the show. And amidst all the questions about the controversy, he dropped some major news about the Elimination Chamber.
He did. He confirmed that the Elimination Chamber in Chicago has massive stakes attached to it. Stakes we haven't seen in a long time.
The source emphasizes this strongly. The winners of the chamber get the same reward as the Rumble winners. They get to choose any champion they want to challenge in Vegas.
That is so significant. Often, the chamber winner just gets a shot at their brand's belt. It's locked in. But this choice mechanism, it puts them on equal footing.
It elevates the match prestige instantly. The source calls this a lifeline for Cody Rhodes. It's not a consolation prize. It's a legitimate second chance at the main event.
It's a resurrection. If the heist was meant to bury the American nightmare, the chamber offers a way out of the grave.
And let's talk about the venue. The United Center, first major PLE there in decades. The atmosphere in Chicago is always, well, hostile is a polite word.
Boiling point is the phrase the source used. Chicago fans do not suffer fools. If there are shenanigans there, they will riot. Verbally, anyway.
But physically, the structure is what matters here.
Yeah.
The Elimination Chamber itself.
The cage.
The cage.
10 tons of steel.
Chains, bulletproof glass. This source makes a really compelling argument here. The cage in Chicago might be the only place left where Drew McIntyre can't pull the strings.
Ooh, I like that. You can't do a run-in from the crowd if there's a wall of chain link fence around the ring.
Theoretically, yes. It isolates the combatants, it removes the variables. If Cody can get in there, he's locked in with his destiny. But crucially, Drew is locked out.
Unless Drew is in the match.
And that is the terrifying variable. If Drew manages to get into the chamber, then Cody is locked in a cage with the man who stole his dream. But if he's kept out, it's Cody's safest space.
How ironic is that? The most dangerous match in WWE might be the safest place for Cody simply because it has a door that locks.
It's a brilliant storytelling device. But the point stands. The long game is still in play. The road didn't end in Riyadh. It just got a lot bumpier.
It got detour signs all over it.
So putting this all together, what does this deep dive tell us as viewers?
Well, looking back at everything, the grand larceny by Drew's, the tragic implosion of the Kabuki Warriors, it feels like we were in a period of high volatility.
We are. We saw two sides of the same coin. On one side, you have calculated villainy exploiting a loophole that, frankly, shouldn't exist. Drew proved he can control the narrative from the outside.
And conversely, we saw how fragile teamwork can be. One misstep, one miscalculation by Kairi, and the whole plan just falls apart. A reminder that even the good guys can defeat themselves.
The listener takeaway here is pretty clear. Don't get comfortable. Just because you think you know the road to Vegas, just because you think Cody has to win, doesn't mean it's true.
The script is being rewritten in real time. The source reminds us that plans can implode in an instant. The long game is happening, but it is not a straight line.
No, it's a zigzag through a minefield.
A minefield filled with Scottish warriors and steel cages. And that leads me to a final thought I want to leave you with. We've been talking about threats today. Drew is a threat. Kairi's mistake was a threat.
Right.
So in a world where best-laid plans can implode in an instant, what's actually the greatest threat to a wrestler's story? Is it the enemy plotting against you from the shadows like Drew? Or is it your own ally's mistake standing right next to you like Kairi?
That is the question. The enemy you can see, or the friend you trust, who accidentally ends your night? The knife in the back, or the elbow to the face from your best friend?
Something to think about as we look toward the cage in Chicago. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the chaos.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Next time.